Hello everybody, I bet you weren't expected to see my face, just my hands and looking at this White Dwarf, right? Well, I'm going to be getting to that in a second, but I just wanted to quickly post a quick face-to-face so we can cover a couple of issues that are going to come up once you look at deep dive into this retrospective. First off, I refer to as White Dwarf 236 as coming from 1998, when actually more correctly is 1999. I have no idea why I mixed that up, but I'm going to guess it's coming down to the fact that I have no memory of actually working on this White Dwarf or the battle report that's within. And also, I think there's a kind of fear that basically August 1999 marks my halfway point in my White Dwarf UK career, and I'm kind of backtracking myself in the fear that I'm going to run out of White Dwarfs to talk about very soon, which is going to be a sad thing to do. Also, there's going to be a little bit of a rant about basically the current issues about female custodies, and if that offends you, don't go any further than this video, okay? Because I'm not going to be on the side of the people that basically have a problem with female or LGBTQ representation in 40k, okay? So, that being said, let's get on to the retrospective, and I'll see you after the weird, strange transition that we're about to do. So, bye. Hello there, Nick Davis here. Today we're going to be talking about White Dwarf 236. This is August 1998. I have had to read this White Dwarf a couple of times just to basically get my bearings on it. This is the Codex Eldar release, back for Warhammer 3rd edition, for Warhammer 40k 3rd edition, I'm sorry. The Van Carstens have returned in vampire count form, and there's an Imperial Fist, Legion of Damned, and Elder clash in a cataclysmic battle report. A battle report that is so cataclysmic, I have no memory of taking part of it, even though I was commanding the Imperial Fists. But in my defence, it's about 26 years ago, and a lot of things have happened in that meantime. Anyway, if you want to support me on my endeavours of basically covering White Dwarfs or other retro gaming supplements, or even my comic book endeavours with the Night Guardians, please check out my Patreon below. It's in the links in the comments. $1 gets you in, and I do appreciate all the support you can get. If you want to pick up one of my Night Guardian fantasy books, please go to your local Amazon website. I distribute these books via Amazon. Type in The Night Guardians by Nick Davis, and the books should appear in your listings, and you can order directly from them, and I'll send it to you in about a week from the order, because it's printing on demand. Anyway, all that being said, White Dwarf 236 awaits, but I'm going to say one last thing, and this needs to be said. There's a lot of things on the interwebs recently that basically made me a little unhappy. It's about basically females and LGBTQ folks and other races being represented in areas that traditionally not been represented in Warhammer 40k and Warhammer games, like Space Marines and Custodians and such like. Please, just get over yourselves, okay? There's people who have a problem with this. If you have a problem with it, it's just you. Nobody else does. It's gaming, it's fun, it's toy soldiers and dice. It brings people together. It's fun, it's community. Games Workshop was a joy for me for, oh, good lord, let me think, years. It helped me in some of my more formative and troubling times to get over a few things, and it's a joy to play. It's a hobby. It builds your skills from numeric to painting to creative. So if you have a problem with basically LGBTQ folks or women, or even other races being represented as Space Marines or the Custodians or any other type of Warhammer 40k or Warhammer race that you think they should not be in because the law says so, grow up. And that's all I've got to say about that. That being said, now I've got that rant out of the way, and I'm sure I've lost probably tens of people in that rant. We're going to crap up in this cover of White Dwarf 236, August 1999, and see what's cutting loose. Okay, just to make sure it's nice and centered on the camera. Okay, there it is. Right then, is White Dwarf contents in the new style that basically we have talked about before. Maxim, FHM, Esquire, the primary male magazines of that time, were basically doing these big blow-up contents and indexes. So we tried to replicate it because our primary demographic back in the 90s was actually guys. Let's face it, actually it really was. I mean, there was a few female players, but it was very much a guys thing at that time. I'm very happy now, by the way, that it's expanded to include everybody. About bloody time. But that's the reason why basically you're seeing these bigger images and a much more dynamic context, because we're basically recreating the looks of that time. So this issue has the news per normal, big Codex Eldar released here, out of the Battlefield Gothic with the out of warp Chaos War Master Richard Baker talks about how to use Chaos Fleets. We'll cover that when we get to it. Mike Walker article, and Yvonne Carstone's for what is actually a kind of small Warhammer representation in this White Dwarf. Lots of new stuff coming up as well. So let's turn over the page and see what cuts loose. Okay, the White Dwarf blogs for this issue are Paul Sawyer, Graham Davies, Simon Schuker, Nick Davis, Ian Compton, Matthew Hudson and Matt Nichols. Why am I so far down, I hear you ask? Well, I hear nobody ask. Because on the last White Dwarf, I screwed up the barcode. See this little barcode just here? This basically tells the stores what stock levels they have and the price of this book. I accidentally put the wrong month's barcode in. I actually put month 7, you see this number says 8. I put 06 when 07 was supposed to be, and we had to basically have a sticker put over it for all the ICNs, and I had fallen out of favour and fell off the top spot just there, because it was all my fault. I'm not blaming anybody else, but there were more than one person checking the films, and I was the person who basically ate the disciplinary for it. Oh well, it happens. Learned some lessons there. And, you know, it didn't get me fired out of Games Workshop, and let's face it, Games Workshop has fired people for a lot less, looking like cross-eyed people sometimes as well. We have Evil Spirits with release of the Wraiths. I really like those Wraiths, they're really nice. Chaos Firepower, new Battlefield Gothic ship. Final season sellout for Blood Bowl. This is still a fantastic fantasy football game. Actually, it's a fantastic football game full stop with dice. Codex Eldar is the primary release. It's very blank and white, isn't it? Dwarf was needed in the bunker. I'm looking at this White Dwarf box we have, and it doesn't really, we don't really get any bigger than this. At one point, I think White Dwarf had like 10 people in it back in 1996 before they moved to the Lenton office. But no, this is pretty much the staying number, and these are going to be mainstays going forward. Ian Compton and Matt Nichols, I believe, leave soon, but I don't think we get anybody to really replace them. Because Games Workshop was having some issues back then, and was basically running out of money for the Lenten move and made some unwise decisions in the gaming market and overextending themselves because Gork and Walker bit us in the ass. Very open news here. Actually, I kind of like the use of the white space. Rick and Thomas go off to Finland. I think they came back eventually to basically cover a convention over there. We should have done much more of this. We should have covered these conventions. This is coming back to what I'm learning now is White Dwarf should be more of a fan-centric magazine, and we should look more into the gaming community than we did. We did try our best. We were held back by some of the higher ups in the game in games, sort of saying, "No, it has to be a miniature catalogue," and we're going, "No, it has to be a hobby catalogue." And talk, and I mean, you have to speak to the people that buy it, not basically just show them toy soldiers and shove down a throat. If sales had their way about White Dwarf back then, this would have been done wall-to-wall toy soldiers with prices underneath, and that's it. Anyway, let's keep it going. Warg issue is coming again. We've got Orcs coming in Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I think that's the next issue coming up. There's some of the plastic releases here. A lot of dark black on here. And these interesting sidebars are going to start appearing because we're now looking at basically a new way to do advertising. This month's big release is Codex Eldar by Gathorpe. This is Gathorpe's big codex. And it's the Eldar. This is basically a big introduction of what the Codex Eldar is all about and how the Eldar have changed in this codex to make him, basically more alien and less elfy. And he talks about the background and the bits and pieces about the Farseers, the Warlocks, these beautiful Banshee miniatures. Actually, I really do like the Guardians, which are the Guardian miniatures, which is not shown in these pictures here. So that's really nice. And the location of the main craft worlds and some of the unknown craft worlds. And then we have Rebirth, which is a short story about one of the Striking Scorpion Exarchs, I believe. And again, we're using the Black Library's sidebars here. This file here was bigger than the entire... This sidebar here was bigger than this entire... Hey, look, Codex Eldar here section. In terms of memory size. Eldar Guardians, we look at plastic Eldar Guardians. I think I quickly laid this one out by the looks of it, because I normally got these miniature layouts to do. Grey Toy Soldiers, I use the bodies from the Guardians on top of some Dark Elder Boys to make even bigger, bulkier Dark Elder Boys, which made sense for these heavy weapons. I think they turned out to be a part of my Raider forces, which basically they came to battle on the Raider, and the biggest splinter cannons, because I thought these splinter cannons were absolutely insanely lethal. Alright, turn the page and see what comes loose. Path of the Warrior, talking about Aspect Warriors and Exarchs, again by Gathorpe. Beautiful work, I love these blue borders, I really do. and the Shadow Winds. I'm basically talking about various actions, the X-Orcs, and how about the Young King. The Young King is basically the guy who gets turned into the Avatar should the craft world go to war. Then we talk about more X-Orcs and the Court of the Young King, which is basically X-Orcs will fight around there, and we talk about the Phoenix Lords, which are basically the immortal aspect warriors of the Eldar here. The Eldar of Beltan Craft World. Now, I do apologise if I've basically said that wrong. It's been a long while since I've had to pronounce the word. I think it's Beltan. If it's wrong, please let me know in the comments below. So let's spell it out phonetically so I'll get it right if I have to cover these guys next time. What's interesting about this is I'm looking at the toy soldiers here, and we have miniatures in here who are almost a decade old, even at this point. And you've got these warp spiders, which I never like these, but it's just Goodwin pieces, which I'm pointing at here. These are old for toy soldier standards, and lucky even the Dreadnought here. The Dreadnought here was was old when I came to Games Workshop. So that's the Eldar Dreadnought from the Dreadnought issue, which is probably White Dwarf 105, I believe, when we first saw this design of Eldar Dreadnoughts. I think they may have just updated the arms, and that was it. Falcon and Grav Tanks. So that's actually a nice little spread there. Here is the World of the Bloody Sword. It is a colour piece talking about an exact warrior. What's interesting here, it has the first recording word of monkey. Why am I mentioning that? Well, back before when Codex Eldar was being written, me and my friends were playing Warhammer Fantasy Battle, but a 40k version of it. And I had a human character who was basically in an adventurer party with a couple of Eldar, and they referred to me as Monkey. And we were talking about it with Gavin once, and I said, basically, the Eldar in this war party didn't refer to me as a human, they referred to me as a monkey. And they basically, I think that's where, I'm pretty certain that's where the word monkey comes from for the Eldar word for humans, which I think is kind of amusing that I may have actually influenced some Eldar lore here in 40k. Yeah, little things, right? Little things. Nice little colour piece story again. Final season, 50% of sellout of Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl has to be one of the finest dice football games ever made. I know it's a fantasy version of it, but if you took away the kicking and the hitting, I think this would play fantastic as a fast-moving normal football game, or American football game, I should say, as football basically means using your feet in where I come from, what they call soccer over here. As you can see, basically, this is the sell-off of the Blood Bowl. Beautiful game. It came back. I'm not sure how it came back and what form it came back in. I hope it came back as this iteration. Novels. Big Black Library section is basically talking about the upcoming novels that are coming out. We have First and Only Intros, which is basically the adventures of Gotrix and Felix. Quite my favourite and slightly entertaining Warhammer duo. It's just a huge story featuring both things here with some advertisement here. This is basically a huge piece of advertorial for Black Library. Fill up some space. If you could follow the stories along, we've got the Warhammer one at the top and the 40k one at the bottom. 40k one was Gaunt's Ghost. By the looks of it, I think it was Nocopolis. No, this wasn't Nocopolis. This was actually First and Only, where the Gaunt got that message via Datacrystal, and he had to hold on to it, and they had to go to a death world, and we discovered the corrupted Iron Warriors, not the Iron Warriors, Tin Men. Then we go to the Oldest of Enemies, a Warhammer article by Thomas and Nigel, talking about witch hunters and chaos killers and mutants. This White Dwarf is so old. I still have. Let's get it right. I still have this, which is basically, join Warhammer, join Games Workshop, but that's got CV to Rob Griffins. I remember Rob. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we had flyers going here trying to get more people to work for us. Even though by that time, I think this is almost 6-7 months after the Day of Long Knives, where basically they sacked about 20% of their Lenten workforce everywhere. Everybody got hit. So yeah, they sort of felt the pinch of that a year later, didn't they? Anyway, we're talking about Scripts and Ice is basically a fun colour article talking about some of the dark things in. Let's put it back in there. Some of the dark stuff in the Warhammer world. We've got bits and pieces to talk about the books and Book of Great Banners. So we're very big focus on Witch Hunters. I love the colour feel of this. It was definitely Vampire Count related though, and gave a nice feel of lore to the book. Lore stuff was always fun to basically put in here. A quick Warhammer army of the Scots Tonight, where we're talking basically about vampire counts again. This is basically Manfred von Carstein. There he is, just there. Manfred, just there. We've got a better picture over the page. Yes. Manfred von Carstein, the Elector Count Vampire. There he is. Just there. Let's see if we can bring him up to the camera a little bit so you can see a bit better, because I've got some light flash on it from the outside light. There we go. Oh, there. Manfred von Carstein. It's actually a nice miniature, actually. So there we go. It's back centered on the camera again. There, we're good to go. Warhammer World is represented in here. Warhammer World at this time was probably you got up the steps from the Games Workshop store, and it was like 2 ante rooms, and then there's a huge hall. Then it was Bugman's. I'm sure it's all changed now. So we had a lot of strange angles being filmed here, so it made the place look bigger than it was. But it was a nice place to visit and give an extra piece of colour, and you can lead you into Bugman's, and it made a good gaming space as well for basically events. So this is Warhammer World, the Space Hulk and Chaos Space Marines, which was featured in that live action 20 minutes worth of video. I can't remember the name of the company that made it, but I'm sure you can. If you type in live action 40k, you might likely see this somewhere on YouTube. It had some Space Hulks, had some Gene Stealers in there, some Chaos Space Marines, Orc Torture Chamber in there. Andy Foster was in it, basically shaved-headed. And basically this featured the sets from that, because we basically paid for the sets, and we put it into the display. Great use of old stuff. Orky Tactics, Andy Chambers with comments of Grand Warlord Wood. How to use your orcs in 40k, and the Woody stuff is a blast to read. Listen to the guy; he knows what he's talking about. Warband here, another sidebound from the Black Library, and talking about warbands and how to build them up together. What's a bit down here? Shooty boys, what are they best at? Blasting at anything that might get the slugger boys some trouble. Blow up speedage and flaying stuff. Favourite place up front so they can shoot. Watch out for standing too close together or we get fragged. Adrian had a lot of shooter boys in his army. They may only hit on 5 or 6s, but you get like 30 or 40 of those guys shooting at you. That squad they're shooting at usually disappears, and he usually puts his shooter boys in mobs of 20. Some of the Orc releases coming up. Got Mega Armor coming up, which is basically Orc Terminator armor, but even more deadly in typical Orc fashion. Actually, look really good. I really love the clunky utilitarian feel of these. It's great. Games Workshop actually in their store. If I mentioned in a previous video, at this point, retail had their own promotions and marketing department that basically made these spreads now. So this is the responsibility taken from us in White Dwarf, which was great. That means we basically gave us more space to work and things. These were laid out by, I think, Andy Sharman, who went down to work for the retail marketing. Did a beautiful job on these, and I think these are really nice pages. With the Army Spotlight, we have here a very old toy soldier, Wushrod's Wood Elf Chariot from the Jez Goodwin. Is this a Jez Goodwin piece? I can't remember. I think it probably was, but it's a Wood Elf Chariot that basically was, let me think, probably 4 or 5 years old before I even joined Games Workshop. So this is a very old toy soldier. I'm pretty sure that you can't even get hold of it anymore. It used to flash out like laser. It means basically the mold used to burn out around these flared pieces just here. Beautiful miniature when you put it together, though. So this is basically Warriors of the Glades, Worcester Store Army by Russ Charles, Worcester Store Manager. He used Wood Elves, eh? Good lord, he must have lost a lot then. But they do look really nice, don't they? Who cannot resist a Wood Elf army? Look at them, they're great. Great enemy here, the participation game, the Glade Riders, like the Wood Elves would have actually had cavalry. Then we talked about the Razorback, a fire support vehicle with Rhino armor. So you usually get dented a lot, but having the ability to have twin bolters, which is probably the most useful part of this, was very useful. The las cannons would make good anti-tank support, but then it would sit at the back and just basically take pot shots. I never understood the Razorback that much. It was like, we wanted to make something out of the old Rhino kit, but we wasn't too sure what it was going to be to make it open top. I don't know. It never quite gelled with me. But that's just me. One of my 40k ads. Top Gear. Warhammer Chariots by Mike Walker. And the use of chariots and charioteering. The golden rules of charioteering are 1. Always charge. 2. Maximise the damage. 3. Take care of the animals. Well, you didn't really take care of the animals. You just usually like one-shot weapons. You basically go in and just mow down the unit. But Mike Walker here basically says, I can sum up why I like chariots so much in 2 words: impact damage. They were lethal if they hit you. Lots of little footnotes here. If you're not familiar with Mike Walker's articles, his basically were fun Warhammer articles talking about tactics and usage of your armies in Warhammer from a gamer's perspective and his little gaming crew. He was a hilarious guy, and his writing is very, very funny. I absolutely recommend, if you can get hold of yourself a Mike Walker article, which I'm sure the PDFs on the interwebs by now, take it out. Especially with basically Warhammer Old World around, his tactics are still as valid. Alessio talks about the use of champions and chariots that had to step down from their vehicle to actually, take part in the battle against the other champion, whilst the other units just fought against each other. Ah, look at that. The old high-off chariot there. These are chariots are wonderful miniatures. They really are. They really look beautiful. I had a couple of stegodons, which count as the Lizardman chariots for my army. When I had a high-off army, I had a couple of the old high-off chariots. These were just beautiful toy soldiers. That's all I got to say about it. They were beautiful. Okay, Games Day 99, Sunday, September 12th. That means this White Dwarf, oh my gosh, this White Dwarf was done back in May and June, July. Yeah, White Dwarf was done back in May. We're advertising an event in the month's time, and we won't be talking about Games Day until probably September. Games Day and Golden Day were 99. Am I in the wrong month? Have I just jumped forward? I thought it was in 98. This is probably on me. Yeah, because I can't remember what year I'm in anymore. Oh my gosh. Oh well. But yeah, just beautiful toy soldiers by. I think this guy was the Youngbloods guy. Yep. Yes, it was. Yes. Tom. Let's see if I can find his name. We've got Tom. For some reason, we don't mention Tom's full name in here. Well, maybe it's because he's a minor, I guess. But this is a beautiful army painted by a Youngblood. That's a kid that's probably between the ages of 12 and 14. So yeah, God blimey, I can't even paint that good anymore. Actually, I got older. My painting got worse, but at my best, I was never this good. Games Day 99, World's premiere event coming up Sunday, September 12th. Out of the Warp by Richard Baker. And I just want to say something special about Richard Baker here. He was a heavy metal painter, and he was a stunningly good tactician in games and in Battlefleet Gothic. I was his primary opponent. I could never beat him, and his Chaos Fleet was so many carriers in it, and so many fighters and bombers and torpedoes. It was really hard to basically fight against him, and he used them very effectively. Down the fact, basically, the Chaos Space Fleets were very fast and outgunned the Imperial ships, were basically slow, heavily armoured, and didn't have the guns these guys had. They put the Imperial fleets at a huge disadvantage because we couldn't move fast enough in the Imperial fleet, we didn't have enough guns, and frankly, if you throw enough dice at anything, it dies. Simple as that. But he was a great tactician, and he basically talks about how he deals with different types of forces. I think the only one he ever really struggled against was Orcs, because they just charged right at you. And Eldar were just fast and very fragile, so you never really had any problems with them. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Mordheim's coming, my friends. Look at that. Very special Mordheim pages are coming. I'm not sure if my White Dwarf coverage is going to get to these pages. I hope we get one of my White Dwarfs. I better cover will basically show them because they're especially done, and I got a big story about basically how they all came about. Warhammer Eldar advert. As I mentioned before, the Eldar Wraithlord here is a model that is decades old. In fact, when you first could pick it up, you could probably pick it up for probably about $5 or £5 back in the day. Now it's 15. That's inflation for you. Anyway, The Path to War by Gav Thorpe and Nick Davis, recorded by Simon Shuker. I have no memory of this battle report. In fact, when I opened this White Dwarf today to take notes and basically to take a look through so I could familiarise myself with this, I had no memory of even taking part in this battle report. And I was very, very surprised when I found out by reading it that I was the guy who commanded the Imperial Fists and the Legion of Damned in this battle report. I have no memory of this, my friends. I cannot remember a single dice roll or a single part of this game. I can't remember playing the Legion of Damned, and I can't remember playing the Imperial Fists. Space Marines is an army I have probably not used at this point since the RTB-10 Marines. That give you an idea. Last time I used Space Marines, which basically dates into Warhammer Rogue Trader 40k, first edition. And since then I didn't use Space Marines. So I don't even know how I ended up with the Imperial Fist, who in all the heavy metal cabinet armies was probably the least suited to do any fighting with. When you look at it, you got a tactical squad, you got an assault squad, you got a bike squad, you got an annihilator, and you got a dreadnought and scouts and one commander and a chaplain. It was not an army that was fit for purpose. But they gave me the Legion of the Damned to basically bolster the armies, to basically make this a game, because if they didn't, as you will see as we go through, I would have lost big time. I'm an Imperial Guard player, so I know how to stand and fight and do fire lanes and defensive sort of things, but you don't have enough numbers with Space Marines to do that, and Space Marines do not move fast enough to basically be rapid assault troops either. So they were an army I was at zero familiarity with. Zero familiarity with. I had no idea how to use Space Marines effectively in any way, shape or form. So what follows after this page is going to be a mix of Imperial Guard tactics and and me making up on the spot. Even at this point, I also want to point out I was playing Dark Eldar as well at this time, so this was a force that was slow. Here's the two armies. 2,048 points on the Imperial Space Marines when you add in the Legion of the Damned, and the Beltan Soldering Host was 2,053 points. Unusually high numbers on both sides, and then we're off to the races. Here's the map. This was a grab and hold mission where you basically find an STC artifact and hold onto it, almost like a King of the Hill type fight. Lucky for me, that's what it was, because if it was any other type of game like an assault or meeting a counter, I would have got my butt even more whipped. Legion of the Damned is basically featured this, or a miniature Legion of the Damned with this, so you can see what's going on. Special rules for them. This is an outside chapter approved thing. We're trying something a little bit different. And then we're off. My entire tactical game was basically, let's get the Legion of the Damned in here as fast as I possibly can and put them right in the middle of the gaming board, so the Eldar will basically have to bounce off them. And that was my gaming plan. And it didn't happen to turn 2. And I got my ass kicked. So the Imperial Fist coming down here, and you can tell I really don't have much clue how to use Space Marines effectively. My assault squad gets chewed to pieces here. My bikes come flying here because I'm not moving them fast enough. My tactical squad is way out in the open. The only thing I did right was basically use the Annihilator, how I'd use an Imperial Guard tank, and use the Dreadnoughts to basically block gaps for myself. And then could Legion of the Damned, we get to the jumping in, right on top of the ST artifact, and that's what saved the game for me. These guys jumping right in top of the artifact, because the scouts got their asses blown to pieces too. That's basically what the game's about. We're watching my forces just get decimated against a much superior commander using Eldar perfectly. Lucky for me, Eldar are extremely fragile troops, so even Space Marines can break them to pieces. And a guy who's using Imperial Fist and Space Marine forces like he's a total rookie, because he never used Space Marines ever in Warhammer 40k 3rd edition. So basically, we have my bike squad gets decimated by turn 5. My assault squad's gone. My tactical squad's down basically HQ units. My dreadnought is basically plugging gaps. If it wasn't for the Legion of the Damned, their 2 attacks, and their damned toughness, I would have lost that objective. And I even managed to hide behind a rock for a while with the STC artifact to make sure I won the game. So in terms of tactics, I won the game. In terms of battlefield savvy, I was a complete and utter noob, as they say. And last turn we decided to have my Dreadnought charge out against the Avatar, because why not? To that point I was losing. Make a dramatic end. Praise be to the Emperor, I did it, but only just. And that's right, I only just did it. If it wasn't for the Legion of the Damned, I would have got my arse kicked. And Gavin's absolutely right. A definitive moral victory. He would have won this game if it was any other mission. But we did fight a game with Dark Eldar, and I did beat him at the Warhammer Players Society Club Tournament, where I basically massacred his Eldar with my Dark Eldar. But as they come in the future White Dwarf, and there will be a story behind that too. So there we go. I just pretty much was... I got very defensive and got very Imperial Guardian with an army that can't even fight that way. Space Marines to me were always been an enigma in how to use properly, because they're few numbers like a guard, and they are not fast enough to be an assault army. I do not know how to use Space Marines, and to this day I will absolutely stand by that and absolutely say it. because, as I said at the very beginning of this mini rant about how I only just won this game and got my butt kicked at the same time, I've not used Space Marines since RB10Ts, and those who are out there long in the tooth and long in the hair, like me, know exactly what those Space Marines are. Okay, Games Workshop mail order. Yes, I laid this page. The mail order at this point was being laid out by me. Lots of toy soldiers. Let's just show toy soldiers because we must show toy soldiers. And I think that's a great way to basically do these things. I was basically trying to make this like the old catalogues of old, where you can spend hours looking at things and trying to make up your armies. We press for more army deals to make things work in there. They've got the Battlefield Gothic price list, the Razorbacks, anything that's basically a toy soldier that was featured in the White Dwarf was in the back here. Huge Legion of the Damned section with the old Legion of the Damned figures here. So old, in fact, they had the old heavy metal guys, heavy metal Legion of the Damned heavy weapons, which basically they all had the guns on the shoulder, not based on the new Marines soldiers that had their guns mostly slung on their hips. Wow, 3 shoulder pads. This is insane. Oh my. Codex Orc stuff, the Mega Armor. When Adrian got Mega Armor, our games got even more bloody when I was playing against him. Top bloke. And advance order for the Orc Regiment, because the next issue is going to be all Warhammer Armies Orc. Vampire Count stuff, this will be the last gasp for these guys. Chariots and the mail order chariots. In fact, at this point, Warhammer, the Wood Elf chariot was so bad we couldn't cast it anymore. We actually have a chariot conversion of the actual beautifully sculpted Wood Elf chariot, which was a huge feature in both the chariot article and the Spotlight Worcester army for the retail section. Yes, I'm stammering, so I'm trying to remember details. Chaos Space Marine Planet King, because you know the Chaos needed even bigger guns. Subscriptions. We turn over the page and we have a section of pictures that were taken from the Codex Eldar. We're doing something special here. We're using 3D scenery stuff. Very confused line here. We could probably made it a bit more structured thinking about it now. But it was basically a knockout, drag down battle between Orcs and Eldar. So there we go. There we go, my friends. That is the slightly confusing and retrospective look back at White Dwarf 236. I'm pretty certain this is August 1998. We're not in 1999 yet. That might be just the miniature categories. That's why I probably got confused. This is Codex Eldar release. I want to thank you for coming this far. Please like and subscribe. The buttons are around here somewhere. To these videos. If you can help me out, please drop some money into the Patreon. It helps me do more of these retrospectives. Also helps me do more comic book work. I am primarily a comic book guy, as you guys know I am now. In fact, my latest release, I'm going to put this on here so you guys can see it. Let's Hunt Monsters is a comic book about a teddy bear who takes out monsters on the bed of extreme predators. So if you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, stuff like Rick and Morty, that kind of thing, this is probably the comic book for you. Go to my website, you can pick it up from order there, or you can, if you're in the overseas and you can't afford the shipping to the outside the USA, and I can't blame you because it's extraordinarily high, you can pick up an electronic version of this comic as well. So there we go, my friends. I'd like to thank you for coming this far. You have a great day. I hope we'll join you for White Dwarf 237 walkthrough sometime in the next week. I've got a very busy week ahead of me. I've got some scripting, some lettering, and a page to draw as well. So I'm going to try to squeeze it in if I can. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what else you'd like to see me cover in future retrospectives. You take care now, and yeah, play well.